Guys, what's up? Welcome back to the vlog. So I'm working on removing the transmission from my GTR. Pretty cool, pretty exciting. So caliper gets zip tied to the coil spring. So I took off the exhaust, all the undercarriage. I disconnected the shift linkage right there. So I took that off and I pushed it towards the top. This little plate right here goes right there on top, and I took that out with the flathead, and then I pushed that towards the top as well. That way when it comes down, it doesn't yank on it. We do have coolant lines that run through the transmission to keep it cool, which is smart. These two lines go all the way to the front of the vehicle, as you can see. And then you have two drive shafts. So I took a heat shell off, had 4 bolts there, 2 there, 2 on this side. So that's off. You can see it right here. This is what it looks like. Took that off. So now that we got that out of the way, so you got to pull that off. So that's your parking brake. So one on each side of each cable. I took one off one side, and then I pushed this down, and then the other one just came right off. Looks like it's 4 bolts that we got to take off on that, on the smaller drive shaft. On the bigger one, it looks like we have like 4, 5, 6. Already took them off, as you can see. So it has 4 of these. It is a 6 metric, and then it is a 12mm nut. On my GTR now, I can turn this. So I use this on the nut, and I turned the whole shaft, rotated it to get the bolts off. Once I got it where I wanted, I just pulled them off. And then this one actually has a little arrow. If you guys look at it right there. So you can actually grab this and move it forward, and it pops off. And that you can just put it to the side. What's holding it is that bracket back there. So that holds it in place, which is nice. So 1 down, 1 to go. Unfortunately, I broke my socket. That big drive shaft is the one that doesn't turn. Let's see. So the last 2 bolts are off. So it has a total of 6, and that's pretty much what they look like. So now we're going to try to push it back, and I mean, it wiggles a little bit. You can see it, but I don't know if it'll come off. So it's pushed back. So when the transmission starts coming down, it should pop off. And I'll show you guys how much it came off. So they're right. So you can't push it back, but you see how much it came out. Let's say about 1/2 inch. So, and then obviously when the transmission comes down, it'll allow it to release it. This is what holds the front of the transmission. So this whole aluminum piece will come off. I'll show you guys. It pops right off. No, the transmission will not drop on me. It was stuck between both quick jacks, so I had to lower it, and the jack stands held the back of the transmission frame, whatever you want to call that. And when it held it, it allowed it to free itself. So heads up, if you have quick jacks, it is a little bit pain in the ass. It won't come off, at least the way I have it set up. So kind of a little pointer there. I also disconnected the oil cooler, which is this one. That's your oil cooler. It still has oil kind of leaking onto it. So I zip tied it, and then that goes right here. The bolt that's above the transmission right here is the biggest pain in the butt. So I already lowered the transmission a little bit, but you don't want to lower it too much because you got your shift cable is still attached. It has a little bracket above over here. You got to put your hand, and this bolt that I'm about to take off, I loosened one. I believe this bracket has 2. Is a pain in the ass. So you want to lower it enough so you can put your hand in here, or a ratchet. It's a 10mm, guys. So this bolt is a pain in the ass. Screw you. It's not bad at all. We'll just have to figure out where we're going to mount the jack. The strongest point I would say is going to be this right here, right? You do want to be careful. You do have a sensor here, so just be cautious. I disconnected it because it sticks out more like that, so I took it off. Just that way it's not in the way. It looks like it has a ground. We'll probably take off the bolts in the middle off, because the jack is going to be in the middle. And then we'll start unbolting the ones on the sides. I'm going to have to put tape on this to cover it. And then you got your harness. What I did is I pushed them all the way on top, and I put a Ziploc bag with zip tie so the connectors don't get any debris in it. After we take all that off, this whole rear end should come off. And I'll show you guys what I'm going to use to take it off. So this is the jack that I'm going to use. It's an ATV jack. It's 2¼ tons. Strong enough to lift 1 car actually on it. And this is what I'm going to use. And you guys will see why. So the center bolts are off. Now I'll mock it up and then I could take the outside bolts off and the whole thing should come down. Everything looks good. Make sure nothing's in the way, like this. Make sure it's above the transmission. So make sure everything is cleared. As you can see, it's already off right there. So let's check the other side. So on this side, this is the side that was getting jammed. So my advice to you guys is make sure that you guys use like a little pry bar, you know, or a pry bar to kind of, so to make sure that it's being lowered on both sides correctly. You have your wiring harness right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. So this is above the transmission. This is for your transmission computer for the valve body. Make sure that's definitely out of the way. So everything is disconnected. There's only one hose that we got to disconnect, which is that one. All right, guys, the moment of truth. Do I know what I'm doing? I think so. I hope so. And there it is, guys. The GR6 is out, and so what do you think? What do you think? All right, guys, so this is what it looks like from the top. So you have the 1 bolt, two, 3, so you have 6, and then you have 2 in the middle. So I took off the middle ones first so I could put the jack underneath once I got to the end. The 2 bolts that are a pain in the ass are these. This is a hold down bolts for the bracket for your shifter cable. Anyway, so same thing on the other side. You know, took off the calipers, the struts, disconnected them. They're pretty easy. The struts are only 1 bolt. Pretty much that's what it looks like underneath. You got a lot of room once you take it off. There's a fucking little bracket that was a pain in the ass. But what was slowing me down is the drag shaft is metal, and that was sticking inside the transmission. It only gave me so much wiggle room, so I had to unbolt the bracket further down for the front shaft, like an aluminum bracket, and that gave me room to move it around so I could finally pull it out. Here's your harness that you want to make sure you move out of the way so it doesn't get stuck on the transmission. And you obviously I left my exhaust on here, but that is what it looks like underneath. And you have the little vent hose that disconnects from right there, and that's pretty much it. It's not bad, guys. It's actually not bad. And now that I know how to do it, this should take like a couple hours, maybe 1 hour. It's actually not that hard. But yeah, you could definitely do this in your garage. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbolt the transmission.